A cry for help went out, and the monsters of Earth answered. The signal was faint, broken, and almost buried in the static of interstellar background noise. But it carried a single phrase, repeated again and again, in a desperate, trembling voice. "Help us! Please, help us!" Captain Mara Vance sat in the darkened observation deck of the ISS Nomad, watching the stars crawl past like cold, distant eyes. She had heard many distress calls in her 15 years of deep space patrol, most from ships that were too far gone save. But this one was different. This wasn't just fear, it was hopelessness. And it wasn't human. The language was Halcorian, one of the older spacefaring races, proud and insular. They had never asked for help from outsiders, least of all from Earth. The official channels were silent. No relays, no diplomatic pings, no military alerts. Whoever sent that message hadn't gone through proper procedures. They'd bypassed everything. That meant one thing. It was urgent enough to risk breaking their own laws. Mara took the recording to command. The answer was the same bureaucratic shrug she had expected. The Halcorians have their own fleets. Not our jurisdiction. Don't get involved. But she knew something they didn't. The coordinates placed a signal deep in Perdition Expanse, a dead sector avoided even by pirates. Rumor said it was infested with Harrows, a predatory species that didn't trade, didn't negotiate, and didn't leave survivors. Earth had met the Harrows once before, during the cataclysm of HFY. They'd taken entire cities in days. The Galactic Council sent fleets, but only the humans stopped them hard. The Harrows called them monsters after that, and not as an insult. Mara didn't go through command. She didn't file a report. She sent one encrypted burst to a list of names that didn't appear on any official roster. Within 48 hours, they arrived. They didn't look like heroes. Some weren't even in uniform. Rourke came from a scrapyard in Luna's shadow, carrying a plasma cannon that had no right to still work. The twins from Titan wore scavenged combat exosuits patched with old hazard tape. Singh, the cybernetic specialist, had both arms replaced with heavy-duty industrial manipulators that could tear through bulkhead doors. And then there was Calder, big, quiet, and pale-eyed, wearing a cloak made from the skin of something the galaxy had no name for. They were the kind of people you called when you needed the impossible done. The kind of people who left nightmares in their wake. The Nomad jumped into Perdition Expanse 3 days later. The coordinates led to a station, if you could still call it that. Its hull was ruptured in a dozen places. Half the outer plating burned black from weapons fire. Faint heat signatures clung to its bones. Life support was failing. Mara opened a channel. "This is Captain Mara Vance of the ISS Nomad. We received your signal." Static, then a faint voice. "Please, they're still here." Calder leaned forward. "They're not gone." His tone was flat, factual. "We'll need to move fast." They docked at the least damaged section of the station. The airlock doors were warped and blackened, forcing Singh to rip them apart with a screech of tearing metal. The station smelled of ozone, burnt plastic, and something sweet and metallic, blood. The corridors were dim, lit by failing strips that flickered in and out, casting the team into alternating shadow and light. They found the first survivor huddled behind an overturned supply cart, clutching a ceremonial Halcorian spear. His chitin armor was cracked, his mandibles trembling. "They're hunting us," he rasped. "They don't want prisoners." Rourke's jaw tightened. "Harrows." The survivor's eyes widened at the sight of the humans. "They sent you?" His tone was disbelief mixed with something else, fear. "Lucky for you," Rourke said. They moved deeper into the station. The Harrows had left signs of their presence. Gouged claw marks on the walls, strange resinous growths in corners, and the bodies of those who hadn't made it to cover. Every sound was amplified by the silence. Dripping coolant, distant groans of the station's stress frame, the faint skitter of something moving in the dark. The first Harrow attack came in the hydroponics bay. It dropped from the ceiling, a blur of armored limbs and too many eyes, lunging for Singh. Calder intercepted it mid-leap, his massive blade cutting in half with one clean stroke. The pieces twitched on the floor, leaking a black ichor that steamed where it touched metal. The Halcorian survivor stared, frozen. How? Calder didn't answer. He just kept walking. They found more survivors in the medical ward. 8 Halcorians, 2 barely clinging to life. Mara's team sealed the room, handed out emergency oxygen, and posted guards. Then they went hunting. The Nomad scanners showed at least a dozen Harrows still aboard. They moved with the patience of apex predators, closing off escape routes, forcing their prey toward kill zones. But they hadn't counted on humans. The team split up, moving to the dark like wraiths. Rourke's cannon blew holes through bulkheads to cut new paths. The twins set traps with scavenged power cells, creating concussive blasts that shredded Harrow armor. Singh hacked into the station's maintenance drones, turning them into swarming buzzsaw weapons. Calder simply found them, always arriving a second before an attack, always silent, always efficient. By the time they regrouped, only 2 Harrows were left. The last stand happened in the central reactor chamber. The creatures had dug in around the control core, perhaps hoping to trigger a meltdown and take the station with them. Mara didn't give them the chance. Her rifle barked once, twice, dropping one. Calder took the last, driving his blade through its chest and pinning it to the deck until it stopped moving. When it was over, the station was quiet. The Halcorians emerged slowly, as if afraid the humans might turn on them next. Their leader, a tall female with cracked armor and a limp, approached Mara. "We sent our call into the dark," she said. "We did not expect you." Mara glanced at her team. Blood, ichor, and soot marked every one of them. "You called for help," she said. "We answered." The Halcorian hesitated, then bowed deeply. "The Council fears you," she said. "They call you monsters." Mara met her gaze. "Sometimes," she said quietly, "monsters are exactly what you need." They left without ceremony, vanishing into black before the official fleets arrived. The Council would write its reports, argue about jurisdiction, and pretend this had all been handled in an orderly, civilized manner. But the Halcorians would remember who had truly saved them. And somewhere in the galaxy, the Harrows would remember too, because when a cry for help went out into the void, the monsters of Earth had answered and left nothing behind but silence.